let's see what we got here this time.
612D. That's going to be taking data from the graph and figuring out what information we can find from the graph.
Alright, so what type of graph are we looking at this time?
Well, we're going to be looking at a line plot. And a line plot is a graph that uses a number line with dots or X's above the numbers. It looks something like this. There it is. Alright, so we need to first draw some conclusions about this data. I kind of noticed this X all the way over here. What do we call that when the X's aren't near the other ones?
That's called an outlier, and I think the reason it's called that is because it kind of lies out away from the rest of the data in the data set.
I got you. Really started raining hard all of a sudden. Well, let's take a look here. We need to talk about the median, the mode, the mean, and the range. Now, what the question asks us, he doesn't ask about all those, but I know all four of those are going to be very important vocabulary words.
Definitely, definitely.
The median, I tell my students to remember, it is the middle. Median, middle. When you drive down the middle of the road, or you drive down the road, the median is in the middle. Oh, thank you. Okay, so to find the median, I'm just going to find the middle value by going from one side to the next.
Keep going toward the middle until you find that middle value.
Alright, how do you find the mode?
The mode is the number that shows up the most. So I'm looking for any of these numbers that show up more than any of the other numbers.
But they're all equally show up on the bottom.
Well, the X's are actually the numbers that are in our data set. So I see here that the number 30 only has one X, so it only shows up one time in our data set.
So the mode, you might want to say, is the most often.
So here the number 60 shows up 3 times because there are 3 X's. So looks like there are actually 2 modes on this one.
We call that bimodal. And that is 60 and 80.
Alright, the mean is the average. Another word for mean is average. And the way that we would find mean is by adding all of the data together and then dividing by how many values there are. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I would add those 10 numbers together and then divide by 10 to find the mean.
By adding the 10 numbers together, you mean to add 30 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 70 and so on.
Correct.
Don't just add the numbers on the bottom because these X's are the values in our data set. And the range, possibly one of the easier ones to find. You take the biggest number minus the smallest. It's finding the difference between the two. So I say range is different because you have to find the difference.
Alright, so what was the card asking us to find on this one?
The card is asking us, actually we already answered one of the questions. The card is asking us what is the mode of the data in the data plot, in the dot plot, excuse me, and dot plot or line plot. And what is the what percent of the values in the data set are above or equal to 80?
Hey, so this one had 2 modes. The numbers 60 and 80 both showed up 3 times. Is it possible to have a data set that doesn't have a mode?
I think you could.
Yeah, I think if all the numbers just showed up one time, there wouldn't be a mode because there wouldn't be a number that shows up more than all the others.
Yeah, and if all numbers are equal, then there is no mode. Alright, so here's our data plot. We agree that the answer for the first question is, the mode, is going to be 60 and 80. Now, the next question says, what percent of the values are greater than or equal to 80?
Greater than or equal to 80.
Alright, well, anytime I hear the word percent, I'm thinking one of my favorite P words, which is proportion. And a percent is always out of 100. So I'm going to put a 100 right here. And it says what percent. So I know my X is going to go over here. But I always get confused with what I put over here.
Well, down here is going to be the total number of values that are in our data set. We talked about that already. There are 10 of those because we have 10 X's up here. And this top number is going to be the part, which is the number of values that are greater than or equal to 80. So how many numbers do we have greater than or equal to 80?
3, 4, 5. 5 5 are greater than or equal to 80.
All right. So how could we get from 10 to 100?
There's a relationship there. I know it's times 10. So if you multiply times 10 on the bottom, we're going to multiply times 10 on the top.
5 times 10 is 50.
All right, so I say the answers, and we're going to need to put into the bomb, are 60 and 80 for the mode, and then 50% of the data is greater than or equal to 80.
I think you're right. I feel good about those answers.
Here's another answer going into the bomb.